Back to order. This is the Development Services section of Coordinated Committee. I'll ask if there's any disclosure of pecuniary interest. If at some point throughout the meeting you find that you do, please declare it at that time. We have no deputations, petitions, presentations, or public meetings. There's a list of unfinished business if there's any questions on any of those. And we will moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Councillor Bray. Be it resolved that the Development Services Section of Coordinated Committee hereby receives the December 8, 2016 consent agenda items 5E through to 5G, and that all the recommendations contained therein be adopted. I am aware of two that have been told. That would be the 45th Street site plan, and we're also going to be pulling the update on the user fees, and just staff will speak to that. Is there any other items? Okay.
Madam Chair, having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Boulanger?
In favor.
Councillor Bray?
In favor?
Councillor Eagle?
In favor.
Councillor Smith?
In favor.
Mayor Smith?
In favor.
Definitely run by vote.
In favor.
Thank you. The vote is 6-4, 0 against. The motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And the 45th Street site plan, I believe Councillor Bray pulled that. Did you want to speak to that?
I did. I had two questions for you to Mr. Heron. The report we're receiving for information, and I just wondered what the next steps would be. For me as a West End resident, I think it's exciting to see that an empty building is being developed with new business. So I just know that this is kind of information, but will it then go forward for planning? Or zoning, or?
Through you, Madam Chair. The site is currently zoned for the use, so a change in zoning bylaw is not required. What the applicant is looking at in terms of town approvals is the revision to site plan approval and then a building permit approval. The site plan process is well underway. Today, staff will be providing comments from the circulation of the proposal to the applicant, and we are hopeful that we can secure site plan approval either just before or just after Christmas. And then throughout the winter months, the applicant will be formalizing and finalizing the building permit for internal renovations and some changes to the exterior doors. The proposed tenants, Starbucks and St. Louis Bar and Grill, they hope to be in the buildings and operational by mid-spring of 2017.
Nice. Wonderful. Thank you.
So I guess if there was any comments from council, now would be, or committee would be a good time now. There is the outdoor patio piece to it and things like that, which I myself don't have a problem with it. But if there's any other comments from committee, Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have two comments. Both of these, when I was in the UDO position, I had tried to, I'd seen them at the franchise shows and tried to convince them to come here. So it's nice that they finally are here. So 10 years later again. So it's nice to see them here.
Okay. Thank you. So it's moved by Councillor Bray, seconded by Councillor Ego. Be it resolved that Development Services Section of Coordinated Committee recommend to Council that the following report describing the site plan revision at 30 45th Street South to install outdoor restaurant patios proposed by 30 45th Street Inc., Patrick Coulter, be accepted for information.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the committee, having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councillor Boulanger?
In favor.
Councillor Bray?
In favor?
Councillor Eagle?
In favor.
Councillor Smith?
In favor.
Mayor Smith?
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Byford?
In favor?
Committee, the motion carries on a vote of 6-4, 0 against.
Okay, thank you. And the next one is dealing with the planning application user fee update, and we pulled it so Mr. Heron could give us some more information.
Subsequent to finalizing the agenda, staff realized that there was a typo in one of the fees that we were recommending for approval. And in the report proper, there are two attachments. The first attachment is an Excel spreadsheet that describes comparison fees from other municipalities, and at the very bottom line, proposed new Town of Wasaga Beach fees. And it's under the title Boundary Adjustment Lot Addition. The current fee for the Town of Wasaga Beach is $1,300. And in the report, it recommends a fee of $1,100. That is a typo. It should actually say $1,400. So staff wanted to clarify that to the committee before they considered the proposal. And the same thing occurs on the attached Schedule J. On the third page, it's the exact same page, under the same title, consent sever, boundary adjustment / lot addition. Should be a proposed fee of $1,400.
Okay, thank you for that. Is there any other questions for Doug while he's here? Councilor Bray?
While we're looking at the spreadsheet, I noticed the ZBA for major, we were higher than most. So the average is quite high because one, New Tecumseh has a $10,000 fee, but everyone else is between $3,000 and $4,400. $1,000 and $4,400, yet we're recommending $4,500. So then we're kind of above the majority, but not the average because of the one that skews it.
So I'm just catching up to you.
Yeah.
Quite right. We do look at, in performing this analysis, staff did look at the average fee, and I would agree that there is one number that does skew the fee. The actual increase that we're proposing is a $500 increase on that particular application fee. I would point out that most of the base fees that the town applies right now were done based on a report that was done by, Bill Weingart. And it was at a time where the town was actually looking at the organizational structure of the planning department and the cost of operations. So a lot of our base fees were installed at that time. But through that recommendation, the recommendation was that the town recapture 50 to 55% of the actual cost of performing the analysis. And that was in 2010. Since that time, the cost of living increases have surpassed the $500 that the staff are looking for. So notwithstanding that the average in the table is affected by that one outlier fee from New Tecumseh, the $500 fee, staff recommendation that it is an appropriate adjustment, and that's simply a cost of living adjustment in tandem with the average calculation.
Anything else? Okay, it's moved by Councilor Ego, seconded by Councilor Bray. Be it resolved that the Development Services Section of Coordinating Committee recommend to Committee of the Whole of Council as Budget Committee that the updated planning fees attached to this report be approved and included in the 2017 budget.
Madam Chair, committee members having heard the question, I'll call for the vote. Councilor Boulanger?
In favor?
Councilor Bray?
In favor?
Councilor Ego?
In favor.
Councilor Smith?
In favor.
Mayor Smith?
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Michaelchi?
In favor?
Thank you, committee. The motion carries on a vote of 6-4 and 0 against.
Thank you, and we'll recess for 10 minutes, come back for general government. Thank you.
call this meeting back to order. The General Government Section of Coordinated Committee for December 8th, 2016. Disclosure of pecuniary interests, I have none. If you find yourself needing to declare at any point during the meeting, please do so. Deputations, petitions, presentations, and public meetings, we have none. Unfinished business, we have none for general government. Other agency reports, there is none. Before we go to the consent agenda, I just wanted to announce that it was with regret we received Dave Brunel's departure notice, and December 23rd will be his last day with Wasaga Beach. So thank you for all that you have done for special events this past year.
Don't want to go, but another opportunity is coming.
Okay. Consent agenda. All items listed below will be approved by one resolution. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member requests it, in which case the item will be removed from the consent resolution and considered immediately following adoption of the remaining consent agenda items. We have pulled Section F, Economic Development and Tourism, and also under F, the Director of Community and Tourism Main Street Market Kiosk Rent Rebate Requests. Was there anything else? Seeing none, I will move the motion for the consent agenda. So moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Deputy Mayor Fulci. Resolved that the General Government Section of Coordinated Committee hereby receives the consent agenda, items 6D through 6F, that the recommendations contained therein be adopted as amended.
With the motion having been read, I'll ask the members of the committee to vote with an in favor or opposed. Councillor Boulanger?
In favor.
Deputy Mayor Fulci?
In favor?
Councillor Ego?
In favor.
Councillor Smith?
In favor.
Mayor Smith?
In favor.
Councillor Stockwell? Oh, whoops. Is that whoops.
Speak up, Bill. Speak up.
And sorry,
In favor.
the vote is 6 in favor, 0 against. The motion is carried. Getting right along. I had pulled the item for Economic Development and Tourism, the Director of Economic Development and Tourism November Activity Report, and I'd asked Andrew to join us at the table to give us an update on the high school task force, because I know there's been a lot of information in the media lately about the high school, and I just thought people might like to hear where we are, rather than just hearing what we're hearing on the radio. We can hear both sides of the story.
Okay, thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. As many of you may be aware, the High School Task Force conducted a deputation to the Simcoe County District School Board on October 26th. Both myself and Mayor Smith made the presentation. It was a very brief presentation, as we were allowed 10 minutes and we were timed with a stopwatch. But I think we did the best we could to get our message across. During that presentation, we conveyed the facts of not only the work that the High School Task Force has conducted over the last approximately year, but also some of the stats that Altus Group had prepared for the town of Wasaga Beach. They've done a lot of research, demographic research, to essentially prepare the case for a high school for our community. During the presentation, we made a verbal request to be placed on the capital priority list for 2017. And on November 21st, we followed up with a written letter, and that was under the mayor's signature, to both the school board as well as to the Minister of Education, requesting that we be given consideration. High School Task Force believes that the case is strong for a high school in Wasaga Beach. We have received responses from the school board, not only to our letter, but also in response to the letter that was submitted to the minister. I won't go through all the details of the response, but I'll just convey a couple of the highlights. It was very clear that the message was that they agree in the long term that there is a case for a high school in Wasaga Beach. They just do not feel that there's a case today. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that the impact on Collingwood specifically. They're concerned about 450 students approximately being pulled out of Collingwood Collegiate Institute to go towards a potential new high school in Wasaga Beach, and the impact that that might have on a school in Collingwood. And as well,
Of the 760 students that are currently being bused out of our community, they do not feel that that justifies an immediate need for a school in Wasaga Beach. And I think I can speak on behalf of the high school task force that we clearly disagree with that. We believe that 760 students does justify a high school. Approximately 220 of those go to Catholic board. However, we do feel strongly that if a school was constructed in this community, that a proportion of those would choose to cross over to the public school system. So we have not been officially turned down, but I believe the essence of the letter was pretty clear. So we're waiting for the capital priority list to come forward. So that's essentially where we're at.
Thanks. Councillor Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just for you to Andrew. Did we get a response from the minister?
Through you, Madam Chair, no, we've not.
Not yet, but it's still early days, I imagine. Mayor Smith?
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I appreciate you pulling this because it is important that the folks of Wasaga Beach understand where we're at. It is pretty clear at this point that we are not on the priority list this year. That has now come out. If I could just comment on a few things, 760 students doesn't constitute a high school in Wasaga Beach. And what is very important to note is that when the board chair spoke to this, he never mentioned 760 children. He mentioned 89 children for growth over the next 20 years, and neglected to talk about the students we have today. They do talk, however, as Andrew said, about the concern that this will have on other communities when our students go to a high school here versus other communities. And every chance I get publicly, I'll state this to the board and to the ministry. Why is it all right for the children of Wasaga Beach to backfill other high schools and other communities so that those other communities and children have their right to a high school, but ours don't? What was very interesting today to note is that this morning in Toronto, the Minister Hunter, made an announcement on site of a new high school to be built in downtown Toronto, very highly densely populated area, for 900 students. So, the board's argument, once again, that 760 students or less than 12 to 1,400 students doesn't cut it. I don't know. I don't know that the ministry agrees with that. So we'll have that conversation with the ministry. The task force will continue to carry on our fight, and I call it a fight because that's what it is. We're fighting for our children and their rights to a high school. The other thing the board talks about is the possibility of a third elementary school in Wasaga Beach because they understand there's some overcrowding. Now, when the high school task force members talked to them about overcrowding, they didn't want to or didn't acknowledge that, where clearly they have now. So the other option for a high school in Wasaga Beach, of course, is to build a school that goes from grade 7 to 12, which would certainly help with the overcrowding. We'd kill two birds with one stone. We'd possibly get a high school and solve the overcrowding problem as opposed to building another elementary school. If you're going to build a school, I say a school is a school. And so we'll take those questions back to the board as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will read the motion. Moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by Mayor Smith. Resolved that the General Government Section, Services Section of Coordinated Committee receive the monthly update from the Director of Economic Development and Tourism for information.
With the motion having been read, I'll ask the members of the committee to vote with an in favor or opposed. Councillor Belanger?
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Bartolci? In favor. Councillor Ego?
In favor.
Councillor Smith?
In favor.
Mayor Smith?
In favor?
Councillor Bray? In favor. The vote is 6 in favor, 0 against. The motion is carried.
The next item is Director of Economic Development and Tourism, Main Street Market, the kiosk rent and gate requests. I have pulled this for discussion. Before I make my comments, is there anyone else that wants to say anything?
Thank you. I guess my only comment is I'd like to see this referred back to staff. In discussions with the Treasury Department, it would appear that there are outstanding hydro, garbage, water, marketing and special event fees for some of these requests, and I don't think that we should be looking at giving them any money back when they haven't even paid the bills that are outstanding. I also think it should come back and there should be a full list of all the units down there, not just the kiosks, but the actual building units and where everything stands, who's asking for rebates, for what reasons, and I think we need a full picture, not just this one little section. So I personally would like to see it referred back.
Any other comments? Before I make mine? So again, when I read through, I did have some concerns about all the tenants being current, had the hydro and water been paid. I also started to think, is it fair to all? So we have received requests for 5 kiosk operators for a rebate, but we have 10 leases down there. So to me, if we are seriously considering giving a rebate of any kind, I think we have to look at all kiosks. Some of them might be run by university students that have gone back to school, but should they not get access to a rebate that we're giving to half of the kiosks just because they're busy in the winter or focused on other things. The other thing, and I like the idea of referring it back, because one of the letters from the tenants actually had the threat of legal. So they actually were looking to talk to their lawyers to talk about discuss the loss of income or investigating the loss of income. So I just think there's a bunch of information that we're kind of missing to make this decision. One is there were 10 leases, we should probably look at all 10 together. And then I would also point out that we have seen similar requests for reductions in taxes from Nico's, from Copa, from Splash, probably from other tenants. So I think, Glenn, if we can look at it all together and see what the overall cost is. And I guess my final plea in referring it back is that when we brought Burger King to this table to talk about the lease, there was absolutely no appetite at the table to make any amendments to the lease. The lessee was told, nope, we signed the lease, we're not willing to renegotiate. So I think in August, if that was our statement as a council, now that we're looking at making exceptions to that, but we're only making exceptions for 4 out of 10, that it just doesn't come across as being fair to all the tenants that we have down there. So I would certainly support the motion to refer it back. Councillor Smith?
Just a question, Madam Chair, to CAO. The list of, that you provided for the last meeting with meeting dates and the November 30th deadline for some of the tenants down there, were any of them resolved by November 30th?
Through you, Madam Chair, the treasurer was overseeing that. I understand that some did come in and resolve, but there's still some outstanding. The treasurer is not in today, so I have not had an update, a formal update. I'm focusing on some other matters, but there will be a report coming forward to committee of the whole with respect to the beachfront properties, dealing with the various situations that we're dealing with now.
So would that be part of that report that you're asking Andrew for?
I think my hope is that maybe this gets added to that and that all the information comes together, so we can refer this back for additional information. Andrew?
Yeah, if I could just respond to what one comment you made. All kiosk operators, we sent out a note and told them all if any felt that they were entitled to a rebate to please submit a letter. So these are the only folks that submitted. So we did extend that to all kiosk operators.
I was just going to say, based on the information that I received from the Treasury Department, there is outstanding amounts past the November 30th date.
Is there an appetite to refer this back for more information?
Of the motion, if I could second it.
If I may, thank you, Madam Chair. I agree wholeheartedly with the Deputy Mayor. If we have people who have applied for some kind of rebate, and if those folks owe the town money, we certainly don't send them anything until, they've paid their debt. Or if the debt is more than this, perhaps we reduce that from the amount owing and they have to pay the difference. But we absolutely need to be on top of this. We absolutely need to get firm with any of our tenants, whether it's a kiosk or not. You have a responsibility to pay, you need to pay. I'd also like to point out that we look at, or staff look at, some policies in future with respect to outstanding debt, whether it be rent, whether it be taxes, whether it be hydro, water, whatever, that if you are, whatever that time limit is that they suggest behind, if you haven't brought it up to date, that we lock those tenants out, so as that we have some kind of recourse to collect the debt that's owing to the taxpayer. We've already seen one case, I won't mention names, where certain things weren't paid, and now units been cleaned out, and we have no recourse. So I think that, I would second the motion for the deputy to refer this back for more information, if it included, of course, what I just spoke to as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, Madam Chair, if I may?
Yeah.
Just to respond, I guess, or to speak to Andrew's point, that a letter was sent out to all kiosk operators. These are the only folks that responded. My thought to that is, the others didn't respond, they mustn't have an issue, and so these are the ones we're dealing with. But those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to Brian's comment, when you say we have no recourse, if an individual breaks her lease and is owed 3 months, do we not take legal action?
If I could reply to that. My point, we do have recourse, legal recourse.
Right.
However, if they're not paid and you lock them out, and their equipment is still there, and their goods are still there, you have at least we have a tangible item that we can sell, can auction, do whatever, as opposed to having to take legal action, and that costing even more money. That was my point.
Right, thank you.
Do you want to just read it out so we can all hear? You're writing.
Madam Chair, this is the motion that I prepared to try to capture the thoughts that were expressed around the table. Resolved that the report pertaining to the Main Street Market rent rebate request be referred back to staff so that a comprehensive report dealing with all outstanding rent/tax/expense reduction requests for the other beachfront properties can be included in the report.
Madam Chair? Could we, I'd just like to add to this that we ask staff to bring forth a policy with respect to past due amounts and what our procedures will be dealing with that. Sure.
Trust them, he'll write what you want.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, based on what the mayor had suggested, I've put a second paragraph in the motion, and with your permission, I can read it out. And further, that staff be asked to develop a policy with respect to tenants that may be in arrears with respect to rent and/or taxes.
Sorry, George, rent, taxes, water, hydro, in arrears, period. Yeah.
Okay, Madam Chair, I'll read the additional paragraph. And further, that staff be asked to develop a policy with respect to dealing with tenants that may be in arrear with respect to rent, taxes, water, or hydro.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair.
I would appreciate that.
So I'm going to read the whole motion again, just because it's my handwriting. Resolved that the report pertaining to the Main Street Market rent rebate request be referred back to staff, so the comprehensive report dealing with all outstanding rent tax expense reduction requests for the other beachfront properties can be included in the report. And be it further resolved, the staff be asked to develop a policy with respect to dealing with tenants that may be in arrears with respect to rent, taxes, water, or hydro.
With the motion having been read, I'll ask the members of committee to respond with an in favor or opposed. Councilor Boulanger?
In favor?
Deputy Mayor Byfolchi? In favor. Councilor Eagle?
In favor.
Councilor Smith? In favor. Mayor Smith?
In favor?
Councilor Ray? The vote is 6 in favor and 0 opposed. The motion is carried.
Deputy Mayor Byfolchi?
Thank you. I was just wondering, just on that same note, will there be a report coming forward that explains to us which leases, because I know some sort of ran out, and we're not sure if they're coming back next year. Will we get some sort of an update on that in the near future? Like some were only for 5 months or whatever, so we don't, just so we know where,
Vacant property report.
just kind of what's going on with all the units when it's dealing with that.
Madam Chair, certainly we can bring a report forward. This is an information report in terms of the status of the leases for all the units.
Other matters, we have none. The date of the next meeting will be determined once our 2017 calendar is approved. We have nothing today for closed session. Therefore, there is no rise and report, and this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.